Melissa Morales here from Black Women TV, talking to Rotten Tomatoes editor Jacqueline Coley on the upcoming Oscar race. But before we do so, we've got a number of award ceremony that's coming up that precludes the Oscar race. First up is the SAG Awards. Then we have the BAFTA Awards. Then we have the Critics' Choice Awards. And then we have the Oscars. So shaping up, what's it looking like at this point right now? Who's the front runner?
Well, I think it's interesting this year because of the pandemic, the cadence is differently. So the cadence is going SAG, BAFTA, CCA, Independent Spirit, then Oscars. And honestly, yes, Power of the Dog has really swept. Dune did particularly better at the Oscars, mostly because of the technical categories that it does. But Power of the Dog and Dune have been two of the most nominated features of the year. But as far as like front runners for Best Picture, it's really probably a trio of films that are competing, with two clear ones sort of duking it out, being Belfast and Power of the Dog. But right there in that next hunt is either Coda or West Side Story. But of those four, I think our Best Picture winner is going to come out of that, as opposed to the smaller features that are maybe less well known.
You also have King Richard in the mix out there. Is there not a Best Picture nominee? It did get a picture, it did get screenplay, it did get actor and supporting actress, and I believe it also got editing and song.
Yeah. No, King Richard is absolutely up there, especially in several of the categories, including supporting actress, including screenplay, and including best actor. However, their Best Picture campaign has waned significantly. And this is in addition to the fact that the film was a day and date release on HBO Max, and it was seen, but it really didn't have the audience feel good reaction of a film like Coda. And so Coda is actually taken a lot of what I would consider the King Richard style voters, because in truth, that's just a cleaner story to get behind, as opposed to the real life aspect of the Williams, where it's, yes, it's a feel good story, but like a lot of feel good stories, the chapters aren't all written. And so it adds, I think, a little bit more to it as far as like people feeling that feeling by the time they get to the end of it. It's very, and it's led by very young stars and Will Smith. Whereas in a film like Coda, the spread is really kind of across the board with Troy, with the screenplay, you know what I mean?
You say Troy, but the audience doesn't know who Troy is. They know who Marlee Matlin is, if you're old enough. It's not like she's been on a lot of mainstream films over the years to know who she is. And so Absolutely. It was, I don't think anyone saw it in theaters that the Apple reported box office numbers. And last I checked, Apple doesn't have the same audience numbers that Netflix has.
Definitely doesn't have the same audience numbers that Netflix has, but Ted Lasso, Apple Plus is a different platform than it was a year ago. No question. More people watch Ted Lasso. And in all honesty, although it's a very limited sample because of COVID, the thing I always go to when I'm talking about predictions, when I'm talking about where I think the race stands, is what do movies love? Donna Langley, the CEO of Universal Pictures, told me Oscar voters watch everything, they appreciate everything, they vote for what they love, they vote with their heart. And Coda pulls the heartstrings better, so I always will rely on that.
You've got Power of the Dog, which has on paper a lot of the ingredients, which is why I got a lot of nominations, but yet it did not get a SAG ensemble nomination. What do you make of that, where it's been rewarded in every other category except for the ensemble one, which is voted by the acting peers?
I mean, I'm giving you a bit of a preview of what I plan to release as sort of my big encapsulation of the season this year, but you can go over to RottenTomatoes.com and our awards tour to see that when I recap the season. The thing that this season I think is going to solidify for a lot of people is how the precursor awards have changed. So SAG is a guild award, and SAG a few years ago married with AFTRA, which is the same guild association that reps people like myself that maybe just do linear television occasionally, but we're primarily journalists, or TikTokers, or YouTubers. Those are all members of SAG now, and they have doubled the numbers of the organization, but they've also completely skewed the taste. Whereas before, many SAG members, because of the numbers of the Academy primarily being made up of actors, many SAG members actually were Oscar voters. Now the disparity between SAG voters and Oscar voters, and the disparity between Oscar voters and BAFTA voters, the disparity between Oscar voters and WGA members, keeps getting wider because the Academy really pushed to up their membership, and the other organizations, because they're guilds, you really have to be a member of the industry to reflect that. So nominations are based on branches, and the branches that have strong guild representation mirror those guilds. The SAG is no longer one of those. So I don't mark the power of the dog snub as much because if we were playing by the old rule book, Jared Leto, Lady Gaga, House of Gucci, it doesn't work anymore.
And that's the
thing.
Hold on
1 second. Excuse me. 1 second. Let me just say that again because I was like breaking up on it. And the reason why I say that is because by that old mindset, House of Gucci should have been Best Picture nominee with the Best Actress nomination and a Best Supporting Actor nomination, and it wasn't. And the reason why is because as much as that film was beloved at SAG, it didn't translate to Oscar voters.
And then you have, and that's the case. You have, House of Gucci, was specifically Lady Gaga, who had been nominated in all the other categories, SAG, Golden Globe, BAFTA, but yet failed to get the big one. Whereas Kristen Stewart, who started off the conversation, in a lot of groups, she was like the one to beat. And then she would have been falling off. She did not get a SAG nomination. She did not get a BAFTA nomination, did not win the Golden Globe. And so all those pundits that were favoring her started to say, well, I don't think she's in, but yet she got an Oscar nomination towards the end. So it's interesting, like, what's going to set the tables. Obviously, whoever wins this coming weekend from the SAG is going to get a boost as far as, okay, they're in the driver's seat for now. And then you have the critics, and then you have BAFTA, which I think maybe 2 or 3 of them are nominated for an Oscars. And then you have the Critics' Choice, which 4 out of the 5 nominees have a nomination for an Oscar. So whoever wins do you think whoever wins out of Critics' Choice will get a bump up in terms of, because it's going to happen right before the Academy starts voting?
Yes and no. I do believe both BAFTA and Critics' Choice are going to be more influential this year because of their proximity to final voting. Absolutely. That being said, none of the award shows have parity among their nominees. So BAFTA, which again, this goes back to my argument about everybody has made so many changes to the way they do things, the old rules no longer apply. So BAFTA now selects their nominations by a committee, where the top 2 vote getters are automatically in, and then the other 3 nominations are selected by a panel of journalists, BAFTA members, and people even outside of the British Academy of Television Arts. So they can be people removed from that, but just have a dedication to film and television. So when you do something like that, you're essentially asking what the minds of 10 people or 8 people, I forget the official number, what they decided were worthy performances. And that's great because you get somebody like Tessa Thompson who can go to the BAFTAs as a nominee. You get somebody like Ruth Negga, who then didn't make it to the Oscar ceremony, and they can get their recognition. And I don't believe either one of those were top 2 vote getters in their category based on precursor indications. So yeah, I think it's great, but no, I don't know which is going to bump more, because if Tessa Thompson wins the BAFTA and Jessica Chastain wins the Critics' Choice, it really depends. If the award shows all, despite the crazy and chaotic nominations, still circle the wagons around the consensus nominations, I think it will show where we are. But as I'm predicting, and what I think is more likely to happen, is it's going to be a scatterbox all the way through.
Switching gears a little bit, I'm just want to, we're running out of time, but I want to throw it out there. Do you think Diane Warren can finally win an Oscar?
I don't think that anyone would be more happy than me and Diane Warren and probably her family and friends to win that Oscar. But to do it, she's going to have to go through Lin-Manuel Miranda, Beyonce, and Billie Eilish. And I will just say, if she does it, good on ya. But that's a pretty hard way to go. And the quickest way to get an Oscar for Best Original Song is to write a song for James Bond. It is consistently a winner over other Ferris offers.
How many times has it won the Oscar?
Spectre.
I know.
Diamonds Are Forever. who else is it? Spectre, Diamonds Are Forever, Skyfall, Nobody Does It Better, Lulu. Nobody does it better.
5 out of 25 is, it's not so bad, but it's
No,
not.
those are the 5 I can name off the top of my head. There's more. There's more. There's let's see. Goldfinger. Yep. I don't think GoldenEye won though for Tina Turner. I don't think she won. She was nominated.
Mm-hmm. Is there
But
anybody...
I'm basing it off of the ones that are nominated, not off all the songs. Of the ones that are nominated, if you get in, your statistical chance of then taking home the Oscar is about 50%.
Is there anyone in particular you're looking forward to seeing hopefully win? That like they've been around or they've been nominated a couple of times, or it would be nice to see them throw a curveball and win?
This is what's really interesting. It is not my favorite performance of the year. I've been very vocal that I think Simon Rex is the greatest performance of the year. It is hilarious. The fact that this came from a guy whose last movie was Scary Movie 4. Come on, y'all. This is the kind of story you want to get behind. But in the best actor race, I do feel if Will Smith gets up to that podium and is given the chance to make a speech, it is going to be memorable. It is going to be a movie moment that rivals Jamie Foxx winning for Ray, that rivals Denzel Washington winning for Glory. You know what I mean? Like, was it Cry Freedom or Glory was his first one? Was it Cry? It was Glory, right? That was his first one? Yeah, Glory.
Yeah, he won for Glory.
But that was his first win, not his first nomination. That's why I was just trying to make sure which one he was actually accepting it for. Anyway, it's Denzel going up there the same night they give it to Sydney. It's moments like that. And Will Smith is actually a very talented and articulate vehicle for communicating his own story. And I have a feeling he's going to make a speech that is worthy of it.
Speaking of that, and you just name dropped, a bunch of films, Denzel, Sidney Poitier. We're entering the last week of Black History Month. And so they just recently had on Turner Classic Movies, 12 movies of Sidney Poitier, who recently died. But what else is out there that people should be looking for? Not everybody's going to the movies these days, and everybody's still watching a lot of TV. So what's out there that people should pay attention to, whether it's on streaming channel, whether they can pick it up on Amazon or anything else?
There's a ton out there. I'm going to give you a streaming pick, something to look forward to, and something big that folks probably know about, but you should be on the lookout for. So first, I will say on the streaming side, television has so greatly changed and influenced different, but there are 2 network television shows that are rewriting the book for what you can do on standard basic network television, and that is Abbott Elementary and The Grand Crew. Both of them have people that come from the internet space very involved in the behind the scenes of them. They're both hilarious, and they're really, I think, showing when Girls came out, people called Insecure the bubble behind that. So Girls was a new version of Sex and the City, which was a new Girls was a new version of Sex and the City. Insecure was a new version of Girls, so on and so forth. The influence that these shows could ripple out for is incredible. And the fact that it comes through the lifeblood of the internet, the fact that there are people involved in the writing, show running, and production of it that came from the internet spaces like BuzzFeed, YouTube, and Twitch, and now they're writing insightful television, I think really points to where television can go forward. On the movie side, looking down the road, everybody should just be excited to see what's going to happen with Black Panther 2. I do not know how you were able to come back from everything that this production has gone through, from what we know and what we probably will never know, from Chadwick's passing to, Letitia's injury to questions on COVID safety and vaccination and a whole bunch of other things with this movie. And the fact that he had to rewrite the screenplay because of Chadwick's passing. I don't know what that movie will be, but I put my money on Ryan Coogler every time, and I think everyone should pay attention to it. And looking forward, there was an incredible film from Sundance called Nanny, which will be hitting theaters later. The director involved in it has just signed a first look deal. Check out that. That's going to be a filmmaker to watch going forward.
And when you're not covering movies and you're not covering Black History Month, what keeps you humble and be yourself regular and so forth?
Oh, what keeps me humble? My dog, honestly, he does not give a damn about anything. He's just like, hi, how are you? You need to give me more attention. And it's actually kind of grounding because when we get busy like this, as you are, as we are, this time of year is always nuts with awards because it's like an extra vertical of journalism on top of the normal vertical of journalism that we already work. he doesn't care. He's like, I don't care if you have an Oscar shoot. You haven't played with me this week. So that definitely keeps me humble. And I mean, how can you hate this job? It's the best job in the world. They pay us to watch movies.
I concur. Well, it's been good to talk to you. This is Wilson Morales talking to Jacqueline Coley. You can catch her on Rotten Tomatoes, her work on Rotten Tomatoes. This is Wilson from Black Film and TV. Have yourself a great day. We'll talk down the road. Go watch some movies, good ones, screening or not.